let that man be your guy in the middle that's going to plug gaps and go after some people. But we'll see. Does he
You're
get him
saying
out there?
don't make him drop
Does he trim
25
him
pounds?
down? Does he do all that? Let
Yeah.
them, hey, let him do what he does. Let him go, and so that's going to be the biggest question mark for me is will Lincoln, will Alex Grinch, will those, that defensive staff go just let these guys be who they are? Go be the talent that they were recruited as. Kirby Smart recruited him to Georgia for a reason. Use him like he was at Georgia. Don't change anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Plug him in and let him be an eater in the middle. So, we'll see what happens. But hey, no knock on what they're doing at USC. They're certainly gaining a lot of good pieces, and it'll be interesting to see how they use them. So.
Yeah, and Greeland, before you go, Jason, Greeland has a great point here. Given enough time, I think Grinch can do enough to help an offense that doesn't need a lot of help. And I think this is a great point. We don't need Alex Grinch to be Brent Venables when he was at Clemson. We don't need him to be Kirby Smart whenever he was at Bama. You just need him to give you a defense that can stop a team more than they have to stop your offense. And guys, let's be honest here. That's a tall task, stopping an offense led by Caleb, Lincoln. Interesting to see. What was your initial thought, Jason?
A lot of agreement on what Drew just said, that you're going to have to continue to do the things. And I agree with what Greeland's saying here, that they don't need a ton of help. I think that that's definitely true when we're talking Pac-12 play. When you get into the playoff, you're going to get into playing some SEC teams that are going to put defenses out there that are going to slow down that offense. We've seen it. We saw it at Oklahoma. In the end, I think the biggest thing for me is, okay, you got Bear and you got a couple of the guys from the portal, over the last, 6 months or whatever. But I feel like, okay, now you need to get depth at that position. And that's something I think we're starting to see at Oklahoma, is where they're going to try to get these guys in droves. And this is what you see at Alabama and Georgia and LSU, where you have a ton of those guys. Are they going to leave him alone? That's the question. Are they going to leave Bear alone and not make him trim down 25, 30 pounds to play that speed D? Because I don't think if you're doing that, why did you even bother getting him? Because he is a guy that this is a mammoth of a guy that can plug up the middle and get push from. It's not about speed getting around the side of it. It's bowling through these guys, That's where my question would be. I'm not positive that that's even in Grinch's vocabulary to allow such a thing. I just don't know that that's what he does. And I'm not trying to really troll on it here. I'm good for them. I know that Oklahoma made a push. They were obviously trying to get him. And when you got a guy that's freaking 325 pounds or whatever he is, they got him listed at 307. He's probably bigger than that. You're going to get a lot of people looking at him. They had some money out there for him at SC. Again, is it enough? I don't know. I don't know that it is. I think maybe it's good for the Pac-12, because I don't
certainly
think
good for the Pac.
I think that you're going to continue to definitely compete in the Pac-12 and have another chance to win the title out there before you leave. I struggle to believe that if they were to get to the playoff, that it's going to be enough. I don't know.
No, and look, I think that's a very fair question. Is it enough if you get to the playoffs? And SBC Bates, thank you for the $5. Thank you for tuning in. He says if Grinch couldn't do it with Winfrey or Gallimore, he won't do it with anyone else. Alexander will regress in California. I don't know that he will regress, Bates, just because I don't know. He's so good. But will he take the next step in his evolution? I think is a very fair question.
That's exactly. You stole it right out of my mouth.
That's
the thing I want to see is
question.
You have the talent. He has the talent. Can he continue to, progress and keep doing his thing? And that remains to be seen. So, hey, it's good that they're getting talent, and how are they going to use them? That's always been the question for Grinch,
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that's a very fair question if we're asking what the future looks like there, Bates. But I will say this: they have a need, and they have to go and address it. This is a big year for Grinch. Personally, I think this is a make or break. If the defense does not take strides this year, I think it's done for Alex Grinch at USC as defensive coordinator. And Yeah, no, look, I hear you.
That's a fair point.
I don't know that I would have
I
left
get it,
Georgia, right? Because, and look, you can say, would you leave Georgia for Ohio State? No, that's not a knock on Ohio State. You're at Georgia.
Not when you're talking about defense.
Right, like they're in Ohio State.
Right now,
so well, Georgia, Bama, but you don't.
Right now, you can't beat them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is going to be a big year for Alex Grinch, especially given some of these additions.
Here's the thing for Alex Grinch is he's wanting to be a head coach. He's got to go win a championship. He's got to go do something as an assistant coach to prove that he can go lead a program, a big time program. Because I don't think he's after one of these little, Joe Schmo jobs or whatever it is. He's after a Power 5 job, and he's got to go out and prove to, the ADs, prove to the people, just like Brent Venables when he left Oklahoma. He wanted to go prove to himself that he could lead and build a defense. Went out to Clemson, did that. Kirby Smart, same way. Went under Nick Saban, did the same thing. He went to Georgia, and boom, there you go. I think Grinch, not only for just defensively, but I think for his aspirations of being a head coach, he's got to take that next step and go win a championship, or at the very least a college football playoff game.
I don't disagree, and I think this is just such a big year for you to show those strides forward. Because if you show those strides forward on a defense, I mean, this is a dangerous USC team with this offense. Branch, I think, is going to be tough.
Yep.
Raleek Brown, I mean, that guy's just offense through and through, right? Where do you want to put him? He's going to be dangerous. That's why I think we all point to the defense, and good on them for getting these wins, but this is really going to put a magnifying glass on that defense, right? Yep. Like it's do or die now. Matt, you asked the question, my man. He says, what's up with the mass exodus at Colorado? And that just segues us right into our next point. We going. So everybody knows the phrase, we're coming. And Coach Prime has done a phenomenal job. I started this off by saying I have a take that some people will probably disagree with. 99% of these portal entries for Colorado do not surprise me.
Mine either.
They don't. I know. They've had 42 portal entries since the first portal in December, right? I think maybe 43 now because they just had a linebacker or a DB enter since we've been on.
Yeah.
Coach Prime said this is what was going to happen. He straight up let everybody know. And before this transfer portal window, he was very forthright again that they were going to go back in the portal and go portal shopping. The only way that works is they have to clear out eligibility. This morning, they'd already had a bunch of guys transferring out, and they were still over 80 scholarships. Now, they've had more transfer out, but that just lets you know they had some scholarships. They don't return a lot of the guys that were on that team. But I'm not super surprised about a lot of these entries. I think the one that really stood out to me, and I think everybody will back me up on this, was Montana Craig going for 150 yards, entering the portal. Now, we talked about this in the pre-show. And one side of the coin, you've got some talented wide receivers coming in. Jimmy Horn Jr. is going to be a dude, right? He just is. Everybody in the nation wanted him. On the flip side, though, you've got to have depth. You have got to have depth you believe in. And I think if you're sitting there and you're saying, Ty, what's the good with all of this exodus and the bad? The good, I don't know that any of it is good, but it is going according to plan. Coach Prime straight up said this is what's going to happen. The bad, are you going to have enough adequate depth to be able to go out there and sustain an injury or two? That's what I'm super interested in. But make no mistake, Colorado is going to remain active in the portal. I think the biggest, most alarming thing that happened, in my opinion, was the Jawan Johnson decommit. Yeah. That so far has been the most alarming. Not the exodus, the decommitment, because he was just on the visit. We got a friend of the channel in the chat, guys. RJ Moore Malone played college football, has graced us with his time. He says all the kids that are in the portal are the kids that were there before Prime got there. He gave them a chance and they didn't cut it.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. They were 1 in 10, 1 in 11, whatever the case is. You're gonna have, and I think it's scrutinized and it's under a magnifying glass because it's Prime, because it's the guy that moves the needle, like Ty says. it happens at other programs. It happened for us last year. We had a lot of people leave the portal, and everybody,
Yeah, now
was
you
like,
have
yeah. So it's just, and yeah, there's a couple of guys that it was, surprising, but at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see how this continues down the road and the process that continues to happen. Now, if he starts losing players, after, this next portal, like in the fall type of situation, guys are, going off the rails, things like that. And, you only go out there and win, 2 or 3 games next year. I think it's, maybe more alarming, but for right now, you just gotta, trust, I guess, what he's wanting to do and what he's trying to do for his program, and just see how it works out. I'm still, I've still got some question marks, even, after or even before all the transfer portal stuff and all that. Yeah, sure, there's a lot of talent, but, for one, can all that talent gel? Can, there's a lot of things that still need to happen for, just a football sense. You still got to put a team on the field, and what does that look like? I'm curious to see come fall. But yeah, I mean, certainly it's a little bit of a concern. There's a couple guys that, you can, I wonder what's going on there in that certain situation. But for people that, are just sitting here looking at like, why, like you said, Ty, I mean, he kind of, put this into fruition and was like, hey, I think it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. So I'm not too concerned. So I'll be interested to see just, how this continues to play out.
I look at it kind of the similar way as what BV said before last season. We're going to have to rip this thing back to the studs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing. When you're 1-11, you got to rip it back to the studs.
Yep.
And as you know, when I put my video out last night, this was the number here. You had 94 scholarships. And
85 allowed. Yeah. They had to get rid of some guys.
No.
This was inevitable. This was coming. It had to come. And just like, our guy said in the chat, these guys weren't cutting it. I think that Craig, he was going to find a place on that roster at some. I mean, I think he's obviously good enough to play, and I think that he had some kind of rapport with Deion Sanders as well. What I don't think is that he was going to stay in front of Weaver, Jimmy Horn Jr., or Willie. What's his last name?
Gaines.
From JSU. Gaines, yeah, Willie Gaines, and because that's a guy that played at Tennessee before he went to JSU.
I still think he would have had significant time, but I think he just wants to go win now. I think that's his biggest thing.
It's probably, if he wanted to be a number one, he wasn't going to be that guy. You know what I mean? I just don't think that he was. I think the guys that were coming in, and you know how these kids are. Look, a lot of these receivers are going to. Theo Weiss probably would have probably been the number one at OU this year if he was healthy enough.
Yeah.
Right? He had enough. It was time for him to go. So
sure.
If this wasn't going to work out and he didn't see that as being the writing on the wall, then that's why he left. And I also feel like what I said in the pre-show, honestly, when you go and have a game like you did in the spring game, even if you and you're not going to really get the time that you think you deserve, that spring game just served as a showcase for you on ESPN in front of everybody. And now you find a good spot to go play.
And if I may interject myself here, I want to piggyback off of that last point, Jason, because I think it's the one thing I meant to talk about and completely forgot when I was doing mine. Allowing yourself to go out there and showcase what you can do. Because if for the conscious listener, those that have been paying attention to Colorado, you would have heard Coach Prime talk to the media and talk about hit the portal after the spring game. Right? Use this as an opportunity, as Coach Saban says, to create value. Right?
Yeah.
Whenever we look at this, there was just a tweet by 0-3 that was saying the McDonald, he's already got like 13 offers off of that spring game. Right? So he created value for himself, and at the end of the day, that's
here's another thing too to go off of these spring games. A lot of these guys are going out there, and it's basically a tryout to try to go get another scholarship. If they know that, they're a lot of these guys are going into these spring games knowing where they're sitting on the depth chart, and they're saying, all right, well, let me try to position myself for the next move, for the chess piece to move and continue. And that's maybe what this was. But there's other guys at other places too that you've seen, hey, it may not work out, but I think, I could position myself well enough to, go get a better opportunity for myself elsewhere, So I think this is for these spring games, sometimes it's an avenue for you to just showcase yourself, like a combine almost,
Yeah, exactly. Create value. And cool to see Coach Prime just quote tweeted Montana's tweet saying, "Great kid, like someone's gonna get a dude," something to that effect. I accidentally just refreshed, but cool to see Coach Prime weighing in, wishing him the best.
No doubt.
But like I said, guys, just to kind of put a cherry on this, I think we all kind of agree. If you've been listening, this has been in the cards. He has been nothing but forthright and honest that this is coming. I think a lot of people just didn't take him at face value. And why? I don't know. Everything he said he would do thus far, he has done. So, hey, gonna be super interesting to see what happens here. But
can I address what Sam just said?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so TCU type turnarounds. I don't think that's what this is. TCU had a bunch of guys that were in the program, that were already in the program that were coached by Patterson. They had a really, really good defense there. They needed somebody to kind of turn that offense around a little bit. They had a lot of super seniors, guys like that. And they did use the portal well.
The culture was way different. They were winning games with Gary Patterson. Colorado was at the bottom of the barrel. Totally
exactly. That's why I'm saying this is a different deal. I wouldn't call this a TCU type of deal. I think that this is a complete rebuild. And so it's in order to do that, you have to get rid of a lot of these guys. We've been talking about it for the Oklahoma side of it, is that you have to, and you guys had to go through the same thing at Texas, that you got to refresh and kick out some of these kids that aren't a fit to what you're doing and what your culture is going to be. So I think that I get what you're saying, that they are rare, but that's not even what this is. I think that this is going to be, there's a lot to do there. I think they can win more than 5 games or whatever, but I think it's going to take some time. Now,
before we move to the next topic, Jay, I want to have your opinion on this, kind of fill you in. We were just talking Colorado, right? I had the nice little banner here. We going, right? Like a little play on words, but I think all of us here on the panel agreed this isn't super alarming from Colorado. In fact, of all of the movement, only 1% of it, I would say, I looked at and even gave a second glance to. I thought in a perfect world you would want to keep Craig, but I mean, if he's going to have opportunities elsewhere, I don't think that's alarming, especially when you bring in so much. The one thing I did say that I thought, if you're asking me, Ty, what was the most alarming thing that happened? In my opinion, Jay, it was none of the transfers. Coach Prime has been forthright that was what would happen. Jason showed us a great little note he had that displayed they had to get under scholarships anyways. Jason, if you wouldn't mind showing me that note one more time about the scholarships. 94 scholarships, they had 85 allowed. So they had to go 9 under at the beginning of the day. So
that was last night when I went to bed. Yeah. So
the one thing that stood out, and you and I talked about it earlier, Jay, the Jawan Johnson decommitment. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's college football recruiting.
Sure.
Yeah. No, that's normal.
These kids change their mind day to day.
Exactly. But so I'm not alarmed. What's your take on the situation at Colorado? I think it's much ado about nothing so far.
No, I agree. I'm 100% with you all. And, I was listening to a lot of the opinions on it. I think for me, the one really thing to kind of jump on is they were 1-11 last year.
Exactly.
Do you think it was a problem with the talent or coaching? We don't know. But I think in Coach Prime's mind, after watching them and evaluating them in practice, I think he thought that it was a combination of both. So for him, he's just bringing in a whole bunch of new people. He'll be active in the transfer portal. They're going to get a lot of players to come in. He'll get some players. I saw a stat that when he was at Jackson State, he had like 50 transfers out. Like as soon as he got there, basically. And they went to 2.
70 on one of my videos. I don't even know what the number really is, but I know it was a bunch.
Yeah, I saw in the first year it was like 45 to 50 that were gone. Now, it could be a lot more, but he basically just refreshed the roster, started over, and built it into something else, which is what he's going to have to do at Colorado anyway. We should have expected that. Now, could there be concerns around depth? Possibly. But when you go look at the class, They lost how many receivers today? Excuse me. About
a few. Schaefer,
like 5.
Craig. Yeah, they've lost a few.
Yeah.
It feels like 4 or 5 wide receivers. In his class this past year, I'm looking at our boy Travis Davidson's tweet he put out. 9 wide receivers was brought in from the transfer portal as well as in recruits.
And he's
refreshing.
He's got 2 more 4-star receivers coming in 24 class too as well. So
right, but more so I'm thinking about this coming season is more so what but you're right. You're right, Drew. But I'm talking about right now. That's going to have to play here in August. He's refreshing his wide receiver room.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Sure.
And Ty, when we talked about this earlier, you made the comment which when I processed it later, I'm like, yeah, that is logical. He wanted them to play in spring games so they had tape to go somewhere else.
Exactly. That's what I was saying
Create
earlier.
value.
Yeah, it's basically a tryout. A lot of these spring games are for some of these guys. They want to put something on film in a live game situation that says, "Hey, look what I did right here." And these coaches are going to be more than happy to pick up the phone and say, "Hey, we want to try to get this kid landed, and help them out." A lot of these programs, and like we've said, Jay, me and you have talked about it, where more often than not, these coaches are having conversations with these kids and saying, "Hey, we'd really like to see you go to the portal and find you another situation because X, Y, and Z is going to happen, and we don't see you, even on maybe the 2 deep." So,
Drew, we're still talking about it at Oklahoma right now. You know what I mean? We were just talking about it pre-show. I mean, there's things there's guys that are not going to get their opportunity anymore, and you probably had your last chance.
Well, there's one in particular too that on a certain team that people are going to be like up in arms about, and they're going to be like, "Well, why is he leaving?" And it's about to happen here in about a week or so, probably. And people are just kind of lost a little bit because they're like, "Well, what's this?" But if you look at the backstory of it, you can kind of see where and why, reasons why for certain opportunities and people, leaving and choosing to go play elsewhere. So.
And Harris, to your point, I can't find the tweet. I really need to dive deep and try and find it. On3 tweeted out something earlier that he has received 13 D1 offers since entering the transfer portal. Yeah,
it was a great day for him. He had a great day, and he capitalized on it. That's it. That's all you can really.
For sure.
He did.
I'm sorry. It's not 13. My apologies. I'm wrong.
I'm looking at it right now.
Wide receiver Montana Lemonius Craig has been flooded with 19 offers since entering the portal.
Auburn,
on, Ty. Penn State, Mississippi State, West Virginia, UCF, BYU. You get the point. You get the he created value, and now he moves on. Now, one thing you guys said that I do want to touch on. This is a real thing. I had a buddy, one of my roommates, played college football, and we talked about this. And he was at a university that a lot of players find themselves transferring to from D1, right? One of those types of universities. And I asked him, how do guys view transferring, right? What is that? Do they feel some type of way about the old institution? He says, man, to be honest with you, a lot of the guys appreciate it when a coach sits them down and says, hey, you only have 4 years of eligibility. If you want to play college football, you might need to look elsewhere. If you want to stay here and graduate from here, I am perfectly happy to acquiesce your request. You can stay here, graduate, but if you want to play.
If you think about it over time, here's a perfect example. Look at Joe Burrow at Ohio State. He could have stayed at Ohio State, probably worked his way up, maybe got a starting job, but Ryan Day was like, hey, man, let's find you a better situation where you can go and do your thing. And my goodness, turned out pretty good for him.
Exactly.
There's other situations where it's happened. And I think if you really look into it and delve into a lot of these situations, more times than not, these guys go find a great situation for everybody. And I love seeing that. And I hope that that's the case with Craig
guys,
and all that. So, it happens. I mean, guys move.
Again, they were 1-11 too.
Well, if you go back in the day, Troy Aikman leaving Oklahoma, going to UCLA,
absolutely
would have not had the career he had if he would have stayed at Oklahoma.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, and I don't fault them for. I don't fault him for going through this turnover.
Yeah,
like we mentioned throughout all of this, it makes sense to clean house when you had these players in spring training, spring workouts, and you can actually evaluate who's worth keeping and who isn't.
Right.
Now he knows.
Well, this
29 transfers are in.
I will say this. For high school coaches. We can't cut kids, but there's times where you evaluate and you really think, oh man, that dude looks really good in shorts. He can catch the ball in shorts and helmets. But when the pads come on, it's a whole different ball game. So that's kind of our type of situation when we are evaluating guys in the high school ranks. So
this is exactly why, Jay. How many times have I said it? Everybody, I think there was this thought that the second portal window was going to be a snooze fest, that all the fireworks had already happened. And I was like, I think it's the opposite. Now coaches know. Yeah, now coaches know. Drew, to your point, he doesn't have to theorize what I need. What do I think I need? He knows. This is what I need. This is what is lacking. This second portal window to me is so exciting because these moves are poignant. These moves have direction. They are not just, a lot of the times, they're not just depth. They are coming with purpose. Love it. But, boys.
Jimmy, he probably would have been an All-American Troikman, but he would have been in a I formation offense, and we probably wouldn't have won a national championship because Jamel Holloway would have never stepped in, and we wouldn't have went back to the wishbone.
Jamel Holloway, that's my hero.
Yeah, so I think it definitely worked out for both parties. In the end.
Time is here, boys. The time is here. I'm super interested in hearing y'all's thoughts on this Oklahoma spring game. I dropped my video on it today. If y'all haven't seen it after this, be sure to go check it out. Bryant asks, how many current scholarships are there now available? Jason provided us with the number that they had 94 last night. They've had 14 enter. So they're around, I won't say I know.
Around 80 or something like that, I think.
I think they're between 75 to 80 current scholarships, Bryant. Please don't quote me on that, but if you had to approximate, I think that's
right about that number, yeah.
That's fairly accurate. Since we've been on live, I think one or two guys have transferred, so I don't want to say that with full confidence, but that's around the number to expect.
Over, under, somewhere right there, yeah.
Yes, so like I said, there's this notion that they don't have anybody. No, they had to get under. They had to start getting some room freed up. But Oklahoma spring game, guys, like I said, dropped the video on this earlier. After this, go check it out. There's a lot to like. I'm going to start on what stood out to me. I have 3 numbers for you. 1, like a sore thumb. It was impossible not to watch the spring game and not have 1 fly off the screen for you in a good way. I mean that in a good way. There were times where you can tell he's still growing into the cheetah role, but my goodness me, which you did know, he has got all the ability you could want. I thought that was great. The second thing that stood out to me, 10, and by extension, the rest of your linebacker room. There's a great competition going there. Iron sharpens iron. Boy. That's going to make everybody better. That linebacker room is fun. And finally, 21, Pearson. Mm-hmm. You got some fun stuff at your safety position. Really excited about that. Gentlemen, I'm going to start with Jay. You're newest in the chat this evening. You're the newest to join us. So I'm going to start with you. We talked about this a little bit earlier. We were breaking down some film, some stuff that I thought was excellent, some stuff that needs to get cleaned up. What was your initial reactions?
I was satisfied with what I saw overall. The defense looked good. The offense looked like an offense with a bunch of offensive linemen out. I think at one point Venables had mentioned in a presser that he had about 6 actual healthy offensive linemen with some sort of experience. So, yeah, the struggle's real on that side of the ball, but overall, the defense looked really good. Everybody was moving. Everybody was moving with purpose. When we talked about it on my stream last night with Jason and Chris, it was all about how the aggressiveness was there. They looked comfortable. I mean, we had some you had some, blown plays here or there, but you can tell that they had a feeling of what to actually do. And they were executing on a lot of it. And that's what made me happy. It's a glorified practice. All you want to do is see if people know how to get in position like they're supposed to be. And we saw a lot of that. Yep. So I was happy.
Yeah.
Drew, thoughts?
Just real quick, I mean, we talked about it a lot and everything like that. 3 things you're looking for in the spring game as a coach, from a coach's perspective. 1, guys in live game situations. What are they going to do? Especially the young guys that you haven't seen in live game situations. You want to put them in situations to see what they're going to do, how they're going to react. they're going to go make plays? Are they going to shrink? Are they going to, go fly to the football, everything like that, especially on defense? Number two, your guys that have been in the system, are they coming more up to speed with things? Are they playing more confident? Are they, looking like the guys that are taking steps in year 2? And 3, getting out of the game healthy, for those guys. Those are the 3 keys for a spring game. You want to see guys in live situations. You want to put something on tape. You want to help build that, hey, there's some stuff we need to correct. There's some other things that we need to do. It's just another opportunity to get better, to learn, to critique, all that good stuff for every position. But the one thing I will agree with Jay, defensively, we flew around. We made some plays. The depth in the secondary, I really like seeing that. One question mark, though, if I had to really nitpick on defense was, continuing to build that D-line depth and what that's going to look like in the fall. Probably going to be a little better because you had some guys out. But that's going to be probably my question mark is can we continue to build some depth on the D-line? Because, those guys play fast and physical, but you're going to have to get guys to spell them, 2-3 deep guys, stuff like that. So I'm not too worried about that. I think we'll solidify that. And then offensively, like what Jay said, the offensive line, you really don't know what you got yet until you start seeing some of those old linemen healthy and really seeing what you do. But for me, I'm not going to overhype the spring game because it's one of those things that, hey, did we get out healthy? Yes, we did. Did we see some guys go out and make some plays? Yes. Some transfers, some guys like that in a first time in an OU uniform. So all in all, man, I think it was pretty good. And obviously everybody wanted to see Jackson Arnold and see how he was going to do. Kid looked good. He's still going to progress, still going to, find some things to get better at, obviously. But all in all, feel pretty good. I know the weather was a little cold and, not as many people, but still 54,000 people. Cool. Yeah, Grayson Halton looked really good as well, too. So all in all,
Devon Steers, I liked him.
Really good. So,
Jason, thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that obviously you're looking for that depth at the defensive line position. There's no doubt about it. But I think when you look at what they did, body of work wise on Saturday, and it's a practice, man. We get it. And they were going up against a couple of freshmen too. But guys like Bothroyd, I don't know anybody in the country that's going to really stop that guy. You saw the things that Lacey did, batting down a couple of balls. Those are the things that you need to see. Devon Sears make some big plays. I just felt like overall, these are the kind of things that we wanted to see. And I think that offensively, they didn't probably look as good as you wanted them to look. Particularly, and I know we talked about this in the pre-show with Gabriel and everything like that. There's some things that you could probably do, but if he was going to go out there and look the way and I've been saying this a lot over the last few days, is that if he was going to go out there and look the way that we've come accustomed to seeing Oklahoma quarterbacks look, then we're going to still have a lot of questions about what does this defense look like? What are we getting now? Are they really making progress? And what I liked about the offense and what I liked about what Dylan did is, they had to work around some issues. But they grinded out, went down, grinded out some scores before the half and before they were finished off. It's in the end. I'm happy to see Deshaun McCullough. Come on, man, that guy was unbelievable. There's nothing that I said it on Jay's show. He said, "What was your main takeaway?" And I just said that 2 words: Deshaun McCullough. That's it. Unbelievable. And then Pearson, yes, he's going to put a hit on you, and I love that about him. I think that he's guaranteed himself at a spot out there. I really enjoyed watching the way Peyton Bowen showing himself as a 5-star. You don't see a lot of defensive backs, especially as freshmen in college, at playing big boy football that are tracking footballs down the field like that. Yep. They usually have their backs turned and they just put their hands up, This guy not only did that, he was able to turn around and catch the ball. We can argue about whether or not that ball was placed well or not. I think we all know that it wasn't. But not a lot of guys make that play. True. Not a lot of guys still make that play.
Well, and Keith Jackson even said it on the as a color commentary. He goes, sometimes the receiver's going to have to turn into a DB, but at the same time, credit to the DB for going out and making a play like that. It's what you want to see. One guy that I want to that really stood out to me, and I know we talked about the other guys that really shine, but how about the play of Justin Harrington right now and what he's done this spring, man? That really just it because he's a guy that's been through a lot and done a lot of great things, and if he stays healthy, rangy, athletic guy that continues, and that, again, that's more depth. But man, Harrington looked the part on Saturday. So
yeah, that's great. One of the things I talked about, and I said it before we went live, I said it in the video I did today for Oklahoma. If you said, hey, I need a phrase for what Oklahoma has to do better in 2023 as compared to 2022 offensively, for me, it's take advantage of the opportunities as they're presented. Outside of that, that was the one thing where I was like, okay, that still needs to progress. In fairness, I always try and be as objective as possible. It's hard to really take advantage of opportunities if you don't have a healthy offensive line.
Sure.
Right? And especially when you're keeping things so basic. I'm interested in the center battle. What ends up happening with the center battle? I think that's one area on y'all's offensive line that I've expressed interest in now for multiple seasons.
That's going to be an interesting piece for sure. That's one of the questions. One of the things I'm looking forward to, especially in fall camp, because that's when everything gets really ramped up and the competition and the ones really start going against each other. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting piece for sure, Ty.
But outside of that, guys, I mean, look, if you're asking how does Oklahoma need to feel exiting that spring game from an outsider's perspective, looking in, encouraged.
Yeah.
The defense played with confidence. It's a spring game. So all you want to see is guys display an understanding of the scheme they're asked to do. And they did.
I will say, Okie trades, about the tight end room. We got two guys coming off of surgery, Caden Helms, Jason Llewellyn. So those guys did not play. We have depth at the tight end room. You just didn't get to see a whole lot of it because of those injuries. Those guys will be back in the fall, and you'll see more of a better picture of what the tight end room is going to look like. But certainly a healthy Austin Stogner, a great thing for us.
I was enjoying that. But I also felt like the guys that were there and played did well.
Sure,
right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Sure.
So.
But I just want people to know if they didn't know that.
That's why, I think that's been a concern for everybody.
Yeah, you'll see more depth at the tight end room. Right now, we just got some guys out that'll be back, no doubt, in the fold for the fall. So,
yeah, Nick says if depth is an issue, then it will be during the season because injuries are always worse during. That's a very real point, Nick. That's very fair. Absolutely. That's a very fair point. Nothing unfair about that.
Well, and they're unpredictable at times.
Unpredictable
because you've got your depth chart going into the season. As a coach, you're thinking, all right, we got this guy with hey. But then all of a sudden it could change, in the flip of a switch when, you have a couple guys go down and then you have to, rethink some things. So, yeah, great point, Nick.
Not only that, and this goes to Pooh's point, he says BV is used to top interior defensive line gameplay. I mean, look, what they did at Clemson with that defensive front was masterful. Let's be very clear here. He says help isn't coming in that area anytime soon. This should be a major concern heading into the SEC. This is what I will say. I agree with you in the first half, and I don't 1,000% disagree with your back half. It's just a little bit too soon for me to be like, oh, this is a bona fide major concern. Whenever right now Oklahoma's in a lot of really good battles for some top tier defensive linemen. They got to win them. No doubt there, Pooh, but next season, if the depth doesn't come next season, then it's a major concern. It is a concern right now. It becomes a major concern if it's not fixed this year. That's my take on it. Is that fair, guys? You think that's decently fair?
It's on the right, yeah, for sure.
But I don't disagree with your sentiment here, Pooh. I certainly don't. Now, boys, it's the fun time. Bama spring game. Now, someone asked earlier if Bama will go portal shopping or if they will ride out with this quarterback battle. And what a better place to start with the spring game than the quarterback battle. I told the guys in here, Jay, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to watch it yet. There were sequences where both quarterbacks played and looked like they could give you winning football. The problem is I said sequences. It didn't happen consistently. Now, in the interest of fairness, the drops reared their ugly head once again. And I swear to God, I'm going to scream if halfway through the season they're dropping everything that hit. Like, I was beside myself. it's hard for me to really look at this quarterback battle at Alabama and be like, who's at where, whenever so many passes were dropped.
Mm-hmm.
So many passes were dropped. Let's start with the good. The good is that when both of those quarterbacks are playing with confidence, there is a real quarterback battle happening, and I think that's best for both guys. It will push them. It will develop them. The other good, my goodness gracious, boys, this running back room for Bama, it looks dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Jace is there. He's finally
Shocker.
getting back healthy. Roydell Williams and Justice Haynes. I don't know if y'all saw, On3 polled coaches all around the nation, and they put together a list of the 10 guys that were the most impressive during the spring. Justice Haynes found himself on that list. He has been great. 3 touchdowns in the spring game. Wow. He looked great. Running back room, I mean, Jamarian Miller is there, and Richard Young hasn't even showed up to campus yet. He's showing up.
Right.
The offensive line, the left tackle battle is very much well active. I like Proctor. He struggled some on Saturday. A lot of talent. I think he can get there. I'm sorry, I said Proctor. Pritchett. Elijah Pritchett. I've had Proctor on the brain because though I think Pritchett struggled, Proctor is right behind him. Proctor worked with the second team offensive line, and he looked solid.
Mm-hmm.
Good news for Alabama. There's some guys on that offensive line that look good, but they got to develop the depth. My goodness gracious. Chicken says, Ty, you're looking thin compared to the panel. Now you know Saban, BV, Smitty would give you a bag. No, they wouldn't. They would give me a bag not to play college football for them. They would absolutely ensure I was nowhere near their roster.
Me too.
Thank you for the 5, Chicken. And guess what? You're still not getting a running back, Chicken. Absolutely not getting a running back. And RJ, you're 100% right. One thing about Bama, you won't see much from them in a spring game schematically. They are very vanilla, no doubt about it.
Oklahoma was as well. Most schools are too.
Yeah.
And hey, RJ, you and I talked about this. I love Reese. I like what I saw from Reese. I heard some people saying Reese isn't it. Disagree. Very excited about it.
You're taking a small snapshot of, you're talking about guys that are on the field. It's the first chance you get to see. Not really, though, because, everything, like Jay said, is vanilla. So,
True.
But here's the thing with Alabama, and you can kind of compare it to, Oklahoma's past in quarterbacks. I mean, you're replacing a guy like Bryce Young. You're replacing guys like Tua. You're replacing receivers out there like, Devontae Smith, those type of guys, and you're wanting to see, the next guy. And sometimes it's an unfair comparison because these guys are just trying to be who they are, be
100%.
recruited like who they are. And it's for us, we were so used to scoring, so many points and doing so many things like that. And I think for Alabama fans and Oklahoma fans alike, we have such this high standard to live up to that sometimes when it's not quite there, we kind of nitpick and do all this, understandably so, because, when we have a 10-2 season, it's seemingly a failure. And I think we have very, very high standards. And when you, kind of don't, live up to those a little bit, I think we can sometimes get, too happy or too complacent with, we've had it good. So over the last, especially Alabama, you've won championships, and it's sometimes hard to see the new,
Well, Pooh says Texas should be able to take Alabama down in Tuscaloosa. It's going to be a great game. I mean, look, coming off of both of those spring games, this is going to be such a fun game. I might be at that game. We'll find out for sure here recently, but there's a chance I'll be at that game. And if it happens, my God, I'm going to be beside myself. Being real, you can't evaluate fair. Yeah, no doubt, Chicken. That's 100%. RJ says
always better to evaluate your talent against another team than guys you're going up against in practice. So for sure.
RJ, we might have to get together, man. I sent you my number on Twitter. We might have to get together and break down that game. I'd be interested in talking with you, breaking it down, what the quarterbacks did, all that. You're high on Milroe. Like I said, man, Milroe put together sequences, looked great. Now, I'll tell you what had me fired up, ready to run through a brick wall. That defense, boys, that defense looks ferocious. I'm not here to tell you that Bama's defense is back. What I'm telling you is that in the spring game, they looked confident and ferocious, something I didn't see last year. They looked ferocious without the 2 best pass rushers on the field. Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell did not play. Deontay Lawson did not play. He's a presumptive starter. the linebacker play for Alabama, it's really good right now. Really good. There's a lot of guys that are going to be pushing for that. And most of all, Jay, you and I talked about this. Caleb Downs, boys, he's already a starter. And Jay, want to talk to me about what you sent me the other day? What Nick Saban was saying? What stood out to you about what he said about Caleb Downs?
Oh my gosh, I'm tired of it. That's all I'm gonna say is I'm tired of it. I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of it.
All that talent you guys got.
Just it's cheating. I'm tired of it. They're
growing
growing them in the backyard. Like they've got an entire conveyor belt system back there. It's ridiculous. But no, all jokes aside, so Nick Saban said that Mika Fitzpatrick is the greatest freshman he's ever coached.
Yeah.
Regardless of position. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't ever compare a single player to Mika because that is considered the hierarchy. That is the top tier, the creme de la creme of freshmen that he has ever come in and coached for. I'm coached with LSU, Michigan State, etc. And at Bama, Mika is the gold standard. Says he sees Caleb Downs as Mika. I'm terrified now. That is just some scary stuff. Is that if he gave up on his theories of never letting anybody have that title again, to saying, oh no, this kid's it.
Scary.
That tells me that dude's going to be a monster. He's a first round draft pick as a freshman. It's just not fair. It's not fair.
You're welcome, Ty.
Not fair. Not fair at all.
Rub it in. Let's go.
Well, no, I mean y'all got Peyton Bowen.
Oh, come on now. Don't try to patronize
I've said
us.
this safety class, this past safety class, we're going to be talking about this past safety class in 5 years. We are going to come back and look at the top 15 safeties in that 2023 cycle in 5-6 years and be like, how the hell were there not 10 5-star safeties? That's just that dude. That's just the truth here. Oh my God. But Caleb Downs, boys, to come into Alabama day one and already be like, yeah, he's got a starting job. That's great. Mm-hmm. I don't know if y'all saw Earl Little Jr. is really starting to show out. It's going to be tough to keep him off the field. All in all, I'm very excited for what this Alabama defense can do because the defense looked really good. Here's the thing that's scary, boys. When we look at this freshman class for Bama, Caleb Downs is already starting. James Smith, the 5-star defensive lineman, he's already rolling with the ones. I mean, if we can get him with the ones with the Boygby and Jaheim Otis, that's going to be terrifying. Mm-hmm. Keon Keeley was the number 2 player in the nation. He doesn't get there until summer. Yanze Pierre was the other 5-star edge. He doesn't get there until summer. And I don't know if y'all peeped this. The second string corner who had a great game was 5-star Des Ricks, who should be a senior, who should still be a junior in high school. He should be going into his senior year in August. He's at Bama right now. Mm-hmm. Really helping. Alabama Tide says 15 to 20 mile per hour winds did not help accuracy passing. And I was notified. I didn't get to say this during the Oklahoma spring game talk. There were some winds during the Oklahoma spring game, if I'm not misunderstood, that, I don't know how bad, but I don't know that 15-20 was enough
not bad enough to miss open receivers.
Fair. So yeah, look, did any of you get a chance to watch the Bama spring game? I know we talked about Drew wanting. I'm
gonna go watch it this week, but I just saw little clips of it.
I've seen the first.
I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't got a chance to break down.
Yeah.
Baby Ben,
I thought it was
you
good.
You got a lot of talent, blah, 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 blah. We know. Okay.
Yeah, it says I feel like we don't have to watch it, though. That's the whole thing. You can see it and you see the same thing. Now, my intrigue was with the quarterbacks coming into it. That's why I asked you the first thing I said was, what did you see from your quarterbacks? Because I wanted to know. And I kind of felt like kind of how you did. I think that Milroe's I think he's going to be good, right? But you want to see him be a little more consistent and stuff like that. And, I mean, the times that he's gotten opportunities in the past, it kind of makes you wonder whether he's that guy or not. I don't know. But he was young too, so we'll see. I mean, but yeah, with their defense is going to be as good as it is, and I was going to ask you this. I mean, I know a lot of people panned the defensive coordinator hiring, but this is a guy that he knows and that knows him and what they want to do at Alabama. I can see why they've made that. Do you feel better about the hire now than you did, Ty?
So this is what I've always said, and I'm going to be very forthright with my opinion about this. I think they're waiting for Pruitt to figure out whether or not he's cleared from the NCAA. Now, the reason why I think that's the case is the last time Kevin Steele came in as defensive coordinator, it was pretty much well understood. You're a veteran coach. You know what you're doing. We need you to come in here, get this defense looking right. Guess who inherited the defense after Kevin Steele last time in Alabama? Kirby Smart. That's who came in and inherited the defense.
Right.
Jeremy Pruitt just had his meeting with the NCAA. If he is cleared, do not be surprised if you see an analyst hired and it's Jeremy Pruitt for Alabama.
I'll take that trade, but Ty won't.
Oh, no. No.
Definitely take that trade.
I love chicken.
I love chicken, man.
Ty will say,
he cracks me up.
Wait. Chicken wants a running back from Alabama?
It's been an inside joke for a while between Chicken and I. It's been going on for like a year.
Chicken, you need to be asking for a DB or like
linebackers, DBs,
another
defensive lineman.
A defensive lineman, defensive tackle. There you go. The trade needs to be a defensive tackle.
I'll tell you what. You want to know who
That's
I'm more excited about?
That's going to cost $20, not $5.
Yeah.
You get dip into more of that NIL, Chicken.
Thank you for the $5, Chicken. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who's got me fired up. Jaheim Otis. He came to Alabama last year and has lost almost 100 pounds. Played as a true freshman, and now he comes back. Man, that's the type of depth that fires me up on the defensive line, because there's not a whole lot of proven guys. If you're looking at real proven depth, guys that saw a chunk of play, you're looking at Tim Smith, you're looking at a Boygby who got hurt with a neck injury early, sidelined, and you're looking at Otis. Jameel Burrows has some play. Keenan has none of them have the experience, but getting a Boygby back from injury is huge. He was having the best season statistically of the defensive linemen when he went down to neck injury. Now you get to pair him next to a James Smith, who's really impressing. You get to pair him next to an Otis. Super excited about that. And I'm excited for the linebackers. Justin Jefferson Brock was flying around that field. Jahad Campbell. What do you do at linebacker is my big question. If you're an Alabama fan, I got to hear from you. I mean, goodness gracious. I don't know. And it's almost like we were talking about with Oklahoma. I don't know right now who you would say these are our linebackers, because someone could say, I think this guy played well. It's a good problem to have. You want those guys pushing each other. So, Jay, you said you'd watched a little bit. Any initial reactions you'd seen?
That y'all are well-oiled machine. Y'all gonna be fine as usual. As you bring in those additional 8, was it 8 5-stars from the last class? If anything, the quarterbacks, I was kind of looking at both, and as mentioned, the wins makes it seem like that's a problem. That's where that throws off a lot of what you guys are trying to do. But it's gonna be fun seeing this quarterback battle go all the way through into the fall and see who actually comes out and be successful. That's what intrigues me right now, because we talked about who was the freshman that we were talking about that was looking good. I didn't get to go watch his tape yet.
The running back or
the quarterback?
Dylan Lonergan.
Lonergan. I couldn't remember the last name. I was going to say Longagan, but
was
Lonergan,
really actually impressive.
So I'm very intrigued at seeing what this quarterback battle looks like, and if he actually steps into the plate and causes and disrupts things. That's what I'm ready to see coming this summer. So I'll give that short on it, because I didn't get to dive too deep into it, but I did look at a few clips and looked at some passes and stuff, and I want to see the quarterback battle.
Completely agree. Justin says, I was there. Quarterbacks will be fine. Reese and Saban aren't going to show everything. Completely agree. We're going to surprise a lot of y'all fall. Keep doubting Saban. He'll make you look like a fool. I don't think that was about anybody here on the panel, Jason. I think that was more of like a pejorative.
Right. I think the bigger thing with the quarterback is really not really about the play call or anything. It's just about seeing them be able to execute. More so if they look comfortable throwing the ball, do they look comfortable in the pocket? Are they moving around? Are they going through their progressions? I was looking less at where they were throwing the ball and more so at how their body language was, because that really tells us enough here in a spring game. It just shows how comfortable they are with pressure coming at them, in which Bama puts out pressure, and you guys have offensive line things going on that there's questions there. But the defensive line, I want to see what it looked like when they actually rushed at the quarterback, and then we can see what the quarterback does. I didn't really care about where he was throwing it for the most part. Like I said, the wind was up, and you can tell. So accuracy wasn't going to be the way you want it, but being able to see them move around in the pocket, that's what's key. And they look good. They all look like they can do something, but I want to see the battle later on and how it goes comes the fall.
Yeah, Drew, your thoughts?
Yeah, just like Jay just said, the quarterback battle in the fall, and then obviously that offensive line, and then like you said, you're concerned with the drops as wide receivers if they clean up some of those issues, and just maybe some rhythm, some timing stuff with the quarterbacks that maybe a little to do with it, more reps, stuff like that. Some work in the summer. Yeah, it'll be, a lot of stuff that the guys are just maybe not, gelling with that chemistry yet, stuff like that. That could be, some of that stuff. But speaking of Bama and recent players, the NFL draft is coming up on Thursday.
Oh yeah,
night.
I have our little.
I'm fired up about that too. So
yeah, well, I think this is a great place to end the stream on, because if not, we'll kind of fall down a rabbit hole with all the transfer portal news, right? And we'll be here all evening. That's not good for anybody. They're
still not going to beat our record though, Ty, for the longest show. So,
I'm going to do one more. I swear to God, next signing day, I might try and go 24 hours straight. Just see who's
we went like 7 hours.
Yeah, see who's as depraved as I am.
Bro,
we went
married. That's not happening, bro.
We're on all day.
I'll do a 24-hour stream. I swear
to you.
You're getting
married, bro. You're not doing a 24-hour
I'll do a 24-hour stream. I'll do a 24.
He'll get away with a 24-hour stream. I think he can get away with it. Yeah, we did like a 4. I think it was me. You did a 4-hour one time.
I've done multiple.
That was fun. And I don't know how the hell that happened. That was weird too. It was just
we did how long was this guy? It had to be like 7 hours, wasn't it?
For signing day?
Yeah.
That's a trick. That's
like 7 or 8 hours straight, wasn't it?
It was long.
Yeah, it was a lot. Him about all the drops because I'm practicing with Caden. Yeah, Brock, that left tackle, that's absolutely a battle. And Alabama Tide, let me know what you're talking about. Palem, y'all need to do an NFL one. Oh, man, I just don't know about NFL as much as I used to, but excited to talk about the draft. Drew, take it.
Lamar, why?
We're about to fire the Under Official Review podcast back up, me and Zach. We've just taken a little bit of time off, but we hit a lot on the NFL. This is a good time. We're probably going to kick an episode back off later this week with some NFL stuff. But the big news, obviously, today, if we're talking NFL stuff, Aaron Rodgers finally to the Jets. That's going to be interesting. But I'm interested at there's some talk at number one. Are they going to change? They're going to do some stuff. But with this quarterback class, where they're going to fall, because it's been like other years where it's CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, all that stuff. It's going to be interesting to see where these guys fall, because a lot of it has to do with the organizations and where they get into and stuff like that. I don't wish nobody to the Texans. I mean, if they couldn't go and just say, pull a Eli Manning and say, I don't want to go there. Somebody's got to go there. I just hope, for the best there in that situation. But it's always a fun time, the draft in Kansas City. And now that they've made it more of a live event, it's always fun. So, yeah, the quarterbacks definitely. And then who the first running back will be taken. Obviously, Bijan Robinson probably going to be that. But will a running back go in the first round? That's another, another one I'm looking at. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun first 2 days. Obviously, the quarterbacks. I think everybody's looking at that. But
I'd love to jump in on that talk, man. I love it.
Yeah. We'll kick it off. So
yeah, I used to be super keyed into the NFL. The draft used to be one of my favorite things in the world. But I am now so inundated with college football. I just don't even I don't watch as much NFL as I used to, and I need to get back on it. But any opportunity I have, I just find myself watching college
I
football.
definitely prefer college over the NFL though, for sure. So, yeah.
I'm trying to figure out. Tide, let me know the question you had in the chat before we get out of here. We'll get to that. Thank you. Okay, got it. We talked about it. No. All good, Tide. All good. There's 4 people on here. We're spitballing. All good. But boys, what a week. And it's only going to continue getting more spicy.
How many more days do we have for this transfer portal window? I think there's a couple more left.
Yeah, I think it's another
30th.
Yeah.
So
15 days.
Got a few more days to I think there'll still be some dominoes that drop. I think this week, watch out for a couple other guys that maybe for some unexpected. So
yeah, it's about 6. We got 6 days for underclassmen, and then we got all summer for graduates.
Yep. So
that window is going to be bananas come June. Once
plenty of content for us 4 to talk about, for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah, way too much.
Bama doesn't need any transfers either, so don't touch them. You're not allowed.
Unless something wild pops up, I don't expect Bama to be too active in the portal. But, Bama's that team. If someone wild pops their name in the portal, they'll inquire. But I just don't know that we're going to see that happen. If we do, my goodness.
Especially on defense. You're set. You don't need any more defensive guys.
Man, I'm super pumped up. But boys, y'all know the drill. Go down the line. Let everybody know where they can find your content, what you have coming out, all the good stuff. We'll start with Drew, then go Jay, and then finally end on Jason.
Yeah, Drew England, the co-host of the Anything OU podcast. We've been taking a couple of weeks off. Got some things coming up. Just wanted to hit the reset button a little bit. And then obviously the Anything OU podcast. We talk all things OU. Not just football, but across the gambit of Sooner sports, and then the Under Official Review podcast where we talk college football and NFL. You can find us on all the major platforms, our YouTube channels, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff, and then always on with these guys and love talking all things college football, and then even some NFL stuff. All football, all the time.
Absolutely, Jay. Talk to me, man. Where can people find you?
Yeah, don't find me, Jay, Unfair Sports. I'm always here with the crew. We've become a big-time squad, and we're always together. So it's always a family affair, and I'm actually loving it more and more in this industry of making content. It's really hard to find a clique of people to be around that you enjoy talking the game and the sports with, and it's been awesome and a blessing to find everybody and continue to grow, man, because this is a lonely industry as you really get into it. It gets lonely. It's besides you, the viewers. You guys are always awesome, but y'all want us to give you content. On the backside, trying to figure out the content for you all, man, it can be stressful sometimes. It can be tough. We want to make sure we give y'all great products, and Ty always puts together a fantastic
If y'all want to hear anything too, feel free to throw it out there. We'll talk about anything.
Just about. But Ty putting together this great stream, and then everybody coming in to make sure we provide you guys with great content and things to help you kill time up until the fall comes. Yeah, it's fun, but it can be stressful. So thank you for always having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, my man. And Jason, where can the people find all your great stuff?
Hey, I just want to say thank you again also, man. I enjoy being on you guys' shows, all your shows, and so definitely enjoyed this one too. We like to have a lot of fun with each other, and definitely when you want to hear something, let us know in the comments. I mean, that's the best way, as Ty tells us all the time, that's the best way to help us with the algorithm, but it also helps out our show. So do that for sure. Jason Watkins, Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. We are at CFB-pod on YouTube. It's hofmedia.us is our website, and then you can always find me at Birdie Man Dub as well. But thanks a lot for having me on again, Ty.
Absolutely, boys. And I'm going to just answer one more question just because it caught my eye. Justin asked, how do y'all think our offensive line was, referring to Alabama? I think it's already better than last year. I think I have more faith in it, Justin, that left tackle. That still needs some work. One thing we have to remember, and I think this is a key point, Justin, as much as the offensive line did well, they did not go up against Dallas Turner. They did not go up against Chris Braswell, and our quarterback still had pressure. That's an offensive line battle that's still going down.
Yep.
I'd look to Caden Proctor to make that left tackle battle real interesting. But if he doesn't, just know that he would have pushed Elijah Pritchett and made him better. Two very capable guys, two very talented guys. Can't wait to see what happens. Drew,
Hey, chicken, chili cheese dog, my man.
Yeah,
chili cheese dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, chili cheese is the goat.
Or Chicago dog.
refute
Good
that.
Chicago dog is pretty good too. So
Chili cheese is the goat.
chili
Yeah,
cheese is
yeah.
up there though.
I'll take a Wiener Schnitzel chili cheese dog all day long.
Get some, boys.
Boys, we'll see y'all Friday, 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Until then, we'll catch you on all of our shows. That's it. See you. Spinning wheel.